Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program in Making History, and it's time to take this little rocket back out again. Remember when we want a lander that can both land on the moon and on Minmus? Well, we've proven Minmus. We're going to have to prove the moon. So, yeah, let's just save that, and let me just make sure I've got a crew in there. We're both Valentine and Jebediah are both 2 stars, so both of those are good. We haven't got to the stage where we've got 2-person landers yet. I really would like to upgrade the VAB to get much larger landers, and of course with lots more parts. Of course, the problem with that is largely cost. If we have a look at the cost here, it's 450,000. We can sort of, well, we can plant a flag on the moon. That will get us some money, and science data from surface of the moon. That'll get us a little bit more money, but not enough. So I guess we better go and see if we can land on the moon. Now, of course, you have seen all of that before with this particular craft. So I'm going to take this up and then we'll skip forward a little bit so that you don't have to watch that ascent other than the starting parts. Now, Jebediah or Val? Jebediah's a little bit behind because I think Val... actually, that's a good point. Why are you behind? Well, we'll see. We'll take Jeb and see if that brings us a little bit of luck. Of course, it's a slightly simpler route this time because we're not having to do an inclination change, which means I can launch dead east rather than launching slightly south or slightly north, depending on where Minmus is, you know. And we also have flight engineer. Now, what did I actually miss? I wanted time. There we go. Suicide burn. Let me just make sure that this is on. So vessel, surface, orbit. Okay, so it's always going to be down here. Surface burn, delta V, and distance. Will that give me everything I need? Impact time. And yeah, so I'm going to get as much information as I can. Let's just see. I don't need heat. I don't need body. And I don't need rendezvous. All right, let's take this thing up, shall we? SAS on. Jeb, go. Of course, we're taking off fairly slowly, but that shouldn't last for very long. And we'll head up and over. I'll see you up in space. So here we are in a fairly decent orbit, 80 by 75, with a time to apo of 2 minutes 50, but that doesn't really much matter now that we're in orbit. We do, however, have a node. But I don't have enough experience to just point directly at the node with one of these buttons yet. We don't have, you know, Smart ASS from MechJeb or anything like that in this playthrough so far. Maybe once we're sick of flying things manually, we may well get MechJeb. It doesn't really make anything less difficult. You already can do everything you need to do with MechJeb at that point. It just saves a little bit of concentration time. So we've got node in T minus 24 minutes. There's our path. It's going to take us out there. We're only going to use 844. You might be able to make it a little bit more efficient than that, but I'm just going to get us somewhere near the moon. And we want to save as much delta V as possible, really. So what have we got in this stage? We've got 1380 in this stage. We've got another, well, here's our total, in fact, 4,716 delta V remaining. So that hopefully should be enough for us to get our mission done. So let's warp all the way around to here. And of course, I'm not in a particularly high orbit, otherwise I'd be able to warp a little bit faster, but it won't take very long at all. And actually, that's a good point. Does anyone know, and let me know in the comments below, why we drift away from this node? Because I don't have persistent rotation on, so the only thing I can think of is atmospheric drag as to why this node is changing. But I thought we're entirely above the atmosphere as far as how KSP calculates it, so I don't quite know. It does always happen to me, so yeah, it's part of the game and not a problem, but I would expect that once I pointed a certain node, that I would stay at a certain node. You know, that'd be nice. Estimated burn is 39 seconds, so we need to leave around about now. Okay, and we're pointing roughly at the node, so it's not it doesn't need to be terribly exact, of course. We all can always do a course correction mid sort of home and transfer, and in we go. Let's just take a look at. Yeah, we can do an EVA report while accelerating. No, do not do that. Never ever get out while the engine is on, or indeed even if you're high in the atmosphere and going pretty fast. I would recommend never ever getting out. Not that I have ever found out that out the hard way. Yeah, let's not mention that in future. So in comes us. Well, we're moving in towards our maneuver node, and that's close enough, isn't it? Let's just rotate ourselves so we've got a little bit of sunlight, and rotate this way as well. Yeah, those are singles. Well, do I have 2 solar panels? I do have the luxury of 2 solar panels, which isn't terribly great, but that will actually keep us going, no doubt. Or it won't. I really kind of hope it does. So let's make sure we are pointing it directly at the sun, and then we'll turn SAS off once we've stopped rotating. There we go. Wait for it to settle. And we can shortcut that just by time warping a short time, and now it is fine. Okay, so hopefully that is now, yep, our electric charge is back up, and we're going to head out towards the moon. So where does this take us? It will take us, let's just focus view out here on the prograde side of the moon, and of course we can loop this back around and to bring ourselves into an orbit, at which point we can then, and I can now get an EVA report, which actually I'm not under acceleration, so we can do that. EVA report, we'll keep that and board, and hopefully we're not going to actually rotate any, so let's head on out there, shall we? I don't think I want to, well, it would be handy to be able to get really close to the moon when doing a sort of orbital braking, but that's just for efficiency's sake more than anything else. So yeah, let me just put a maneuver in the middle here just to make things nice and close so that we can get close for the periapsis and then do some more maneuvers. So I will skip forward until we're in orbit around the moon. Well, almost in orbit. As you can see, just to close this loop, even with a really high apo, it's only going to take a couple of second burn, only 76 meters per second squared. Well, meters per second, I should say. And yes, we have a delta V total of 3,848. So not terribly, too taxing, I suppose. So let's actually get towards that, shall we? So we've got a wonderful picture of the moon coming in. We don't obviously have any unmanned problems, so we can land anywhere on the moon we like. It might be nice to get one of the bigger sort of biomes, so maybe in towards that crater would be good. We'll see on that front. So let's just fast forward a little bit to here, and then we'll just point ourselves towards this node once we arrive. Should be arriving shortly. And, oh, yep, so we're going to need to move towards the node pretty quickly. Well, a minute and 17. I only need 2 second burn, so not terribly slowly, I guess. Otherwise, that is fine. We've already got, obviously, some of this science. Is that from around the moon or surface of the moon? Okay, so that's our mission. We can't do the space science just to get a cheap win on the missions. So let's just point ourselves in the right location. And we just have to wait until we come up to the maneuver node point. And that won't matter too much if we're slightly off in this case. So in we come towards it now. 10 seconds. Let's just get ready. And, at 1 second we'll go. Okay, close enough. And we just apply a little bit extra. And that will get us the lunar orbit. So now we get an option. The only problem with this, with a sort of orbit like this, is if I plan while I'm out here, we're going to be going really slowly out here. And we're going to speed up. And while that's all happening, the moon itself is going to rotate quite a bit. So if I do this, what I might want to do is only really plan for some of final maneuvers when I'm arriving around about here. And then we'll get a little bit more choice, I would say, about where we're going to land. It's most efficient, however, to do it out here. So what we could do is do a really short burn right here. And just that will bring us onto the surface. Yes, only a tiny amount of meters per second. We'll change our periapsis. There it goes. So only 17.5 meters per second. And that'll change us and get us into the roughly the right area. And as we're coming in, we'll decide if we want to, you know, deflect and go somewhere else. So now we're going to pass behind the moon first of all. I think we've already gone, yeah, we've already gone behind the moon. So let's turn our SAS off. And we'll just head out here a little bit. And turn off science here and now, because we don't need that anytime before we land on the moon. And yeah, let me just make sure we have the solar panel in view. We do, good. We've got quite a lot of fuel left in this stage, so this is probably going to take us most of the way down towards the surface, and we'll have to discard it, of course, before we come in for landing with our next stage up. But that, again, will be fine. So I'm going to do this bit off camera, as you've seen before, and I'm just going to bring us back once we're just approaching the surface, and we'll decide what to do. All right? And in we come. Now, it happens to be that there is a nice crater there for us to land into. Hopefully that is not terribly steep on the bottom of the crater. It's sort of where we're heading. Can we, in fact, just alter things a little bit? Let's point... Is it normal or is it going to be anti-normal? Well, we'll see very shortly once I start using a little bit of fuel. Yeah, normal is fine. I'm just sort of redirecting that a little bit towards the inside of that crater. It's just tilting our orbit. Well, it's an orbit that's passing through the moon now. And then what we can probably do is point prograde a little bit. And we want a little bit of sort of room to drop ourselves in over that. So if we do this, it's going to push ourselves a little bit further across. Yeah, it's going to say, yeah, once you pass through the moon, you'll get a nice orbit that will head out all the way over there. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to use a little bit of fuel to do that. And that will serve just fine. So then we'll come in a little bit further. That's an add maneuver. I don't want to add maneuver. Go away. Let's just warp in a little bit further. And now I want to look at this suicide burn. Now, what I don't know, this used to be a suicide burn time, I'm more sure, and it's now a distance or an amount in delta V. So we're going to get quite a bit closer, and we're going to get up close and personal with the moon. That's where we want to land. So let's spin ourselves retrograde, because that's definitely the right direction we want the rocket engine pointing into. Ready for landing. Or at least we're not going to be landing on that rocket engine, but it's close enough. And it's jittering a little bit. Has to be said. Yeah, that's fine. It's pointing in the right direction now. Okay, so in we come, and I'm going to keep my eye on that, and then we'll see just how close we need to get. Let's just bring ourselves in a fair bit closer. And you see that distance dropping rapidly. So that's the distance until I actually use my engines. Well, that's entirely possible. We'll see. 107,000 now, so we're going to be coming in quite fast at the moment. So suicide burn is in 80, and this is now just passing 90. So it's possible that that's right, but do we trust it? Do we? Well, let's see, shall we? Or am I going to wimp out? I think I might wimp out. As you can see, that orbit is now 700 meters per second, so I'm going to need to use my engines. And, well, we're able to reduce that quite a bit. So this will be 5k above the ground, or what this says is the ground. So yeah, I'm not quite so sure if I trust it completely. But yeah, let's get in a little bit closer. Let's edge up on this and see if this is in any way accurate. So 20k, do we trust it? Do we trust it? Yeah, I kind of want to land here. Burn. Let's reduce our speed a bit, shall we? Let's wimp out somewhat. Get ourselves down to a sensible speed. Because if you get this in any way wrong, you will just slam into the surface, because the moon just has enough gravity that it will pull you down really quite fast. So yeah, we're down to 130 now. We still have plenty of fuel in this tank, and we've got to get rid of this tank anyway. So it's not like it's not too much like Minmus where we were running out. In this case, this whole tank is fine. So I'm going to get closer to the surface now. And we will let go of this tank at some point. There we are. What we could do is we could just switch to stability assist mode and then use this to push ourselves so we're falling straight down now. We are over the crater, remember, so that's quite a good use of the fuel. So we can push it towards the straight up vector, which is the center of the sky half of the ball. And that's as far as that one goes. And then we've got 6k to go, so we've got to put ourselves here and then push it that way as well. So there it is, close to straight up. I think that's actually straight up or straight down. Only problem is you'll land on the wreckage if you do this. So we've got to let go of this engine fairly soon. And down comes our speed, and we can start seeing the rocks. So I'm going to reduce our speed a little bit. Down, well, a fair amount actually. And then I'm going to drop the stage. We're going to drop our gear. And then we can just ignite the next stage. And we can have a lot more control now. But we can control this to basically move ourselves away a little bit. And more importantly, a little bit away in time. I'm going to need to use these engines, because that's going to hit the ground in time now. Ha! Timing on that. And of course, we're coming in now for a landing. So our landing shouldn't be terribly inefficient now. But we do have to keep this going to reduce our speed. So in we come. It's in the middle of a crater, so I've got to be a little bit careful. I'm just controlling this descent just with the engines, so we can just chase that and push it back towards the middle if we wanted to, and nicely, gently coming into the surface. Please don't cause me to collapse more of these legs. And we can land right next to our former engine. Oh, is that another? Oh, that's another leg gone. Yes. This is going to take a little bit of finessing. And please don't. Oh, another leg gone. Oh no. Oh no. Well, we're down. The real question will be whether we can actually get back in and get back up onto our legs. Oh no. No, don't roll away with my lander. No. Lander. There we go. Please don't continue sliding. There we go. Okay. We can take an EVA report, and let's get that. That's another 19 science just by itself, and a surface sample. That's a nicely large amount of science. And our mission is to transmit or recover scientific data from the surface of the moon and plant a flag. So can we plant a flag? We can plant a flag. So there we go. Our little NASA flag. Site name. First landing. I'm going out, and I may be some time. Bonus points if you know where the quote's from. So now I guess we can take, we got a surface sample, haven't we? Yeah, so now we can try and get off the ground again. Up we get, up onto the legs, and take off. Okay, so we're off the ground, and we're going to head east again. Where's my east marker? Sort of this way. And we'll just use a fair amount of fuel just to get us a decent amount off the ground. And we'll keep going that way. And let's see if we can head due east back somewhere a little bit nicer than where we are. So let's look at our apoapsis. In fact, we can see it over here. So let's get that up to something reasonable. maybe around, I don't know, I want to say around 10k at least, maybe 12k. So let's just push that a little bit. So 7, 8, and we get a really nice view of the moon and our flag and wreckage of our nice stage that got us out here. Let's actually bring that gear in. I really want to upgrade to those next version of those legs. They are much better than these tiny little micro ones, but of course they're heavier, and with heavier landers come, well, heavier rockets. So we can thrust sideways. You'll see our fuel is going down. We're going to need to keep at least 300, I think, from getting back. So we've got to watch this a little bit. So I'm going to get up towards here. We'll warp out. And then we'll plan a little bit of a maneuver here just to circularize. Nothing excessive. So that's going to take about 148. That is absolutely fine and be a 5-second burn. 5-second burns are fine. And that comes coming up in a minute or so. So let's fast forward. Warp here. There we go. Again, we shouldn't need to be terribly exact with this, but yeah, we're okay around about here, I would imagine. Yeah, that'll be fine. So 5-second burn. And done. I hope. Yeah, we're clear all the way around. Okay, so now we have 500 meters per second left, and there's the planet we need to get back to. So I guess we should probably think about around about here leaving, out of maneuver, and go prograde. And we can zoom out and see where that's taken us. So let's zoom out. And we need to go retrograde a little bit. We want to, really? Prograde more then? Yeah, there we go. Now that's hundreds of meters per second to get us that close in. So I think what we should probably just do is bring that back in a little bit and let's just escape. And that's only 243, which is going to be fine, I would suspect. So I'm going to play around with this maneuver a little bit, just see if I can save a bit of fuel, but otherwise, you know, we'll just plan it out like normal. Okay, here we are coming up on it now. It's a 9-second burn, 250 meters per second. That should do us to get to this orbital first stuff, so let's go. And goodbye, Moon. Yeah, we didn't know you for very long, but we did get some nice science. So let's just get this a little bit nicer. And just bring that in. There we go, that should do. So yeah, there is our orbit. So let's fast forward all the way to the end here, warp here. And we'll leave the moon behind, as well as our engine and a couple of landing legs. I'm really hard on these landing legs. Let's backspace. So we're now in this orbit, or we will be. Unfortunately, we're already past the Apo, but that's not too much of a problem. And there we go. All right, so now we can point retrograde, and let's see what it takes. We've got 261 meters per second left and a periapsis of 316. And that should be easy. I mean, look at that, it's coming down really quickly. It's now on 230. And bring that in, 100. We want it back down to, ooh, that's close. 27 should do. All right, and now we're pretty much on our usual sort of return trip, which means have we got enough power? We have. Everything else is pretty much set. We can turn ICS off, and we're pretty much dead weight. We can obviously just stage to get rid of these remaining useless landing legs when we get close enough. I'll just keep the engines until then in case we do need to do any weird maneuvers, but we shouldn't have to. So let's just bring that to warp here. We could, of course, transmit, and you can just see the shadow of the moon. Just is that the shadow of the moon? That looked to be the shadow of the moon. Maybe not. That did look like a shadow on my screen. Anyway, so in we come, back towards our normal sort of landing. back in signal range of the KSC. And here we are with the rather beautiful Kerbin below us. All right, so SAS, we can just point ourselves retrograde just so we know. There we go. And where is our periapsis? It's still 27.7. That will come in a little bit as soon as I, get rid of this stage. So we'll just wait until we're closer. Just has minimal effect from what we're expecting. And we're going to pass into the night side, unfortunately. Let me just make sure of power. Yeah, we're fine. And because it's the night side, I'm not going to try and show you this on camera, but I will show you just losing this stage and then pointing towards retrograde. It'll be surface retrograde, which is slightly different, but now we can just disable SAS and we'll come back in as we have many, many times before. Science, wonderful science. We've earned 162 of it, in fact. I even got surface sample from Kerbin's water. Yes, water surface. So we've got lots and lots of stuff that we can buy, I guess, but that may even only be one node now. We'll see that in a second. And we've got funds. We've got 547,000. So technically, well, we got 2 XP gained. Technically, we can now buy this, but I just wanted to make sure first that we have maybe another mission under our belt next episode before I actually purchase it. What does it give us now? Anything nice? So we've got another rescue mission. We could do those. Duna, that's the sort of next step out after the 2 moons of Kerbin, of course. Explore Minmus. So that's rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit of Minmus and dock them around Minmus as well. So we need the docking ports for that. And the orbital station around Minmus, that needs much bigger rockets because it needs the ability to support 5 Kerbals. And that means the hitchhiker module or the lab or something along those lines have a pilot on the station, and it needs an antenna or a docking port and can generate power. So you can do some sort of trivial stuff to start off with that, but we'll get to that later. First of all, can we actually spend this on anything? Oh, we can. 160. Is there any way we can get more science? At least anytime soon. Certainly want the hex at some point. I think it was out here, wasn't it? Something along those lines. Scanning tech, yeah, that was it. So we had to go through advanced exploration first. There's the mobile processing lab. It's 3.5 tons, but that will sort of let you get extra science for your Kerbal dollars. And a fuel canister. Not great otherwise. So let me have a look. I think I'm going to take the bigger rocketry and the propulsion nodes. I'm going to start out with the propulsion nodes. That gives us this twitch engine, which is really handy for making landers. So you don't have to keep landing with the central engine. You can replace the LV909 with a few of these and get very similar kinds of performance. You do kind of need more parts though, of course, so we will be getting that soon. It's whether to get this one first or whether to get this one first or this one first. They're all important. This one is the fuel tanks, essentially. This one is the engines. And I think I'll take the engines just because, hey, they're engines. And there's our last node. Very heavy rocketry with the Mastodon, the Mammoth, the Rhino, which is, obviously the previous versions, and the Vector, of course. So we've got that node. We're down back to 67 science again, but I think we'll be getting more. Ideally, if we can get another mission out of the way, just to give ourselves a bit of a buffer next episode, then we'll be able to upgrade this, which will then be able to enable me to make much bigger landers and rockets as soon as we get those nodes, of course, which means more science, which means lots of more missions to get out of the way. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's been a manned lunar landing episode, short of a couple of landing legs. Feel free to thumbs up, like, subscribe and share as normal, and as always guys, thanks for watching.